Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the best professional wrestling podcast from pillar to post, broadcasting live and in living color from coast to coast. My name is Ray Petree. I'm a columnist for the Sportster in the Augusta Free Press, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, my tag team partner, the Arn Anderson and my Tully Blanchard, JDO Double G. How's it going, Jordan?
Going good, man. Going good. Got an exciting show today off the results of last night's big show and very big turn I'm going to talk about.
Very big. One of the great headlines in wrestling of the last 10 years, John Cena turns heel. Last night, the Elimination Chamber continued the road to WrestleMania 41. The show emanated from Toronto, Canada, in the Rogers Center, formerly known as the Sky Dome, a historic venue for the WWE. This was a big show. Obviously, just ostensibly the winners of the men's and women's chambers lock in those last two championship matches for WrestleMania. On the women's side, the winner will face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. On the men's side, the winner will face Cody Rhodes. Let's begin at the end because that's really the meat of the matter. The most important thing that happened last night, John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber and subsequently turns heel, betraying Cody Rhodes, aligning himself with The Rock in a shocking move. Um, maybe, maybe not exactly unpredictable. I think it was a little sudden. I think it definitely was an electrifying way to end that show. And quite frankly, I think we've been talking about it for the last few weeks, as has the majority of the wrestling community. This build to WrestleMania has just been a little boring. And this was the shot to the system that this show needed to really generate some excitement. Jordan, diagram this for us. How did we get to this point over the last few weeks?
Well, basically, like you said, the buildup has been pretty lackluster, pretty boring. Um, Not a whole lot going on outside of, Jey Uso winning the Rumble, that big moment. That was really the big thing that happened. Um, and then we get a last minute announcement a few, 2 or 3 SmackDowns ago that The Rock is going to show up on SmackDown, and nobody knows what he's going to talk about. Has no idea what he's going to say. Is it going to be just regular corporate stuff? Is it going to be him actually doing something for a storyline? No one knows. But he comes out and basically, I'm not going to go through the whole promo because it was really bizarre the way that it was brought forward. But basically, he's trying to have Cody Rhodes be his champion. I guess kind of like like corporate Rock back in the day when he aligned with Vince and the corporation. Seems like that's the same type of thing he was wanting to do for Cody. Promising him the world, promising him all, an easy coast, easy way through rest of his WWE journey, basically. And he's like, I want an answer at the Elimination Chamber. I'm going to be there, and I want you to tell me what what you want to do. But he says, if you decide to align with me, your life will be easy. If you don't, your life's going to be very, very difficult. Um, and then the SmackDown before that, he kind of reinforces that point. He has the weight belt with the day his father passed away on it. So really, really crazy that they use that. But um, they go into the chamber. Cena wins, and then Cody comes out at the end, and then The Rock comes out with Travis Scott for some reason. Don't really understand why, but he comes out and basically asks Cody, what are you going to do? Are you going to align yourself with me? Are you not? If you do, you're going to be the guy. You're going to have an easy time here in the WWE. But if you don't, it is not going to be a good time for you. And basically, Cody says what he says. Hey, Rock, go yourself. And they did
Oh,
not
say
bleep it
say
at
it, Jordan.
all.
Say it. Say it.
He said, "Hey, Rock, go fuck yourself."
There we go.
Uh,
There we
um,
go.
which then they didn't try at all to bleep it, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, and the crowd went nuts, and The Rock didn't really react. He kind of was just standing there. Um, Cena's in the background, jumping around, all excited. Travis Scott's just there smoking a joint, I guess. Um, And then they kind of stand around a little awkwardly, and then Cena comes up, daps up Cody, hugs him, and then you get the look. You see he looks right at Rock with that grin, and the Rock does the motion, and Cena backs up and he kicks him MJF style, kicks Cody right in the nuts, and the crowd is just doesn't know what to do, doesn't know what to say. Some people cheered, some booed, some were just standing there with their hands on their head. No one knew. It was one of the most shocking moments in WWE history. Uh, and then he takes the watch that I remember. I think Cody gave to The Rock. I think it was something like that back after WrestleMania last year. Something with the watch. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, he beats Cody up, bloodies him, then rips his shirt off, and John Cena and Travis Scott, which were two words I never thought I would say in the same sentence, hold Cody Rhodes down, and The Rock whips him with the weight belt, and then it goes to the off the air with The Rock and John Cena standing side by side, Cody bleeding in the middle of the ring, and the wrestling world is in complete and utter shock and all. So yeah, it was one of the craziest heel turns I've ever seen.
Um, the magnitude of this, the sheer magnitude of this, that John Cena's been a babyface now for over 20 years, 21 years, I think. And we all waited for it forever. I mean, 8 7 8 years went by, we waited for it. 10 years went by, we waited for it.
Yeah,
To the point where in the late 2010s, it was like, what's the point? Now he comes back. Every time he returns, he's universally beloved more than he ever has been before.
yeah,
He's on this retirement tour. It just seemed like it was too late. Finally,
yeah,
everyone loves him. He's,
yeah,
internally considered the GOAT. They talk about him in glowing terms.
yeah,
And here he is. He's betraying Cody Rhodes.
yeah,
Last year, WrestleMania 40, John Cena comes out to Cody Rhodes' defense,
yeah,
saves him from Solo Sikoa in the bloodline. Then The Rock comes out, neutralizes Cena.
yeah,
So we could dive into the backstage relationship that Cody Rhodes has with John Cena. That John Cena mentored Cody Rhodes when he was a rookie in the late 2000s.
yeah.
These two have a lot of history, and I'm sure over the next month we're going to hear more about that.
Mhm.
Um, but wow, I mean, I think back to the early 2010s, John Cena and The Rock's rivalry. While it probably handicapped the WWE in a lot of ways, I think long term it caused a lot of damage to morale. I think it set a tone for the part timers that became really dangerous and toxic.
Yeah,
But those Mania matches were fantastic, and now to see them united, what an exciting time just to see these
yeah,
two as heels working together.
yeah. And also too, like you think about it, when Cena did his interview with Chris Van Fleet last year, sometime, and he talked about he was supposed to turn heel in 2012, and he had done all the work. He and recorded new entrance music. He had new gear. He was thinking about what he could do as far as different mindset, different presentation, and it got scrapped. And at that point, you're kind of like, well, it's never going to happen. Um, but yeah, this and also too, this it kind of reminds me a bit of last year WrestleMania buildup, where it seemed like it was kind of boring. It was kind of stale. There wasn't, everybody was kind of expecting, okay, it's going to be Cody and Roman, and then The Rock comes back, as that monkey wrench in those plans. Everything transpires the way it did, and it created something truly exciting and something that we were still talking about when we were talking about the best matches of the last year.
Hmm.
So this time around, again, the build-up's kind of a little boring, a little stale. The Rock comes back and throws a complete monkey wrench into everything that we thought WrestleMania was going to be. So now, I don't know where they're going to go with. I don't know what they're going to do if John Cena's going to, is he going to have different music? Is he going to be, you know, how is we haven't seen heel Cena since 2003, 4.
Hmm.
He hasn't been a heel since then. So, it's really crazy for them to do it now, like you said. You just never think it's going to happen, and especially on what he's described as his farewell tour.
Yeah.
Uh, usually you want a guy to be cheered and beloved on his way out. And I give a lot of credit to Cena that he's reinventing himself this late in the game and adding a shot in the arm that I think WWE really needed.
What are the chances that Travis Scott performs their entrance theme? Whatever, if this is a faction, if they name it, if it's just John Cena. And, I mean, obviously, I think The Rock's
Yeah,
going to stick with the final boss, but like you said, Cena had recorded his own entrance theme as a heel, and it was never used. He
yeah,
mentioned in that Van Fleet interview that maybe one day it'll be dusted off after he retires. Maybe not. Who knows?
yeah,
Do you think he's going to use that, or do you think maybe Travis Scott records something unique for this?
yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought this up because I just wanted to say, like, I get the whole appeal of bringing celebrities in to be involved in wrestling storylines, but something of this magnitude, like, why do you have to have Travis Scott there? I mean, I get he's a big time, rapper, and he's, his song is, I guess, the official song for Raw on Netflix. Um, but it just, I don't know, it was just weird seeing him there. Like, he didn't fit,
Hmm.
like they had him involved, and he actually like just straight punched Cody in the head when he was holding him down. Like he just like shot on Cody right there because obviously he doesn't know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I don't know if that's something they're gonna do long term or if that was just like a one time thing.
Hmm.
Um, of him just being there. Uh,
It sounds like The Rock said in the media scrum that it sounds like Travis Scott's here for the long haul. He wants to be
yeah,
involved in this in a real
yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, maybe that's what they're gonna do. If that's gonna be a really weird visual of The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena, uh, in like a modern day NWO. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I guess if he's in for the long haul, it's a possibility. I mean, he came out with The Rock uh, last night, so anything's possible. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's just a weird fit to me. I don't understand why you have him there, but yeah, I guess they're all into having celebrities and stuff involved in WWE, so who knows?
Yeah, I remember when that SmackDown promo happened, I sent you a message. I said, it's like he's offering for him to join the Illuminati, sell your soul to me. You'll become
Yeah,
more famous than any wrestler alive. And, you have millions of followers. I have half a billion. And it's definitely giving Illuminati. Definitely, I have the megastar rapper. I have John Cena, myself. We're the biggest
yeah,
stars in wrestling, maybe
yeah,
wrestling history. I mean,
yeah,
um, I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes. Obviously, The Rock's contributions to the WWE as of late have been hit or miss.
yeah,
Last year in WrestleMania, I think everything he did was great. I think since he's come back in multiple times, I think we've all been a little confused.
yeah,
I don't really like how he goes in these media scrums and just kind of tells everyone how things are done and kind of the inside baseball terms and using wrestler parlance. And I'm not really sure if I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I understand everyone knows it's fake at this point,
yeah.
but that doesn't mean we show people how the magic tricks are done.
No. Well, I think Triple H kind of does the same thing too. I mean, he was talking about the heel turn, and he's like, "Well, it was now or never for us to do it if we were going to do it." And I'm like, "You're just kind of just going out there and saying it, man. Like,
Yeah.
leave things up in the air a little bit. You don't have to just go out there and just throw everything on the table. I mean,
Well, and it's also, it's one thing to say that it's one thing to say, well, he hasn't done it or something like that, but then to say that it's almost like a mandated thing is a little odd when it should be something that he wanted to do. And that's the whole point of telling a story is that we become engrossed in the idea that naturally he's come to this conclusion that he needs to do this.
yeah,
But in any event, I guess my point being is that uh, I'm confident that The Rock, John Cena, and Cody Rhodes can tell a great story in a month to WrestleMania. I'm very confident in that. So I'm excited to see what happens.
oh, yeah,
But I don't want to get too far away from this was the ending of the show, but John
yeah,
Cena won the Elimination Chamber. We had a great men's Elimination Chamber match.
yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts, just generally speaking, about this match? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What were your takeaways?
Well, I definitely enjoyed it. Um, it, it's not one of the greatest chamber matches I've ever seen. Um, as far as the participants, when you have a match with Punk, Seth Rollins, John Cena, guys like that, you're gonna have some great some great wrestling and some great storytelling. But I obviously I almost didn't watch it because I really didn't want to watch Logan Paul
Hmm.
because they've just been shoving him down people's throats so much lately.
Yeah.
With the whole him coming out to John Cena's music on SmackDown and cutting a promo. I'm kind of tired of it at this point. Um, and then Damian Priest, I don't really know why they keep trying to push him as a top star because he doesn't have it.
Hmm.
He came out last night and it was like I don't even know if anybody really made a noise. He was just kind of there. And Drew McIntyre, I forgot about Drew McIntyre in the match. Also, him being there was great too. So yeah, just the great star power in the match was good. I thought they did a good job of furthering the Seth Rollins CM Punk hatred. Rollins costing Punk the match.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed it.
These matches are great because you can contain so many angles within them. And for WrestleMania, that's important because a lot of the card for these two nights is still largely unknown. I think this, not just this match, but this event, in and of itself, really helped shape a lot of WrestleMania, not just in the championship picture, but within these chamber matches. I enjoyed the match. Like you said, I mean, we're not going to lay off this. Neither of us are big fans of Logan Paul. And quite frankly, it's hard to want to watch him wrestle. It's hard to want to watch anything he's involved in, whether that's a Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber or otherwise. Um, we're not big fans of Damian Priest. So maybe this wasn't exactly the match for us. But the action itself, the in-ring action was great. Um, and like you said, it speaks to the level of talent involved. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, John Cena, Seth Rollins, four of the best wrestlers alive. Um, Even if Cena and Punk are obviously not in their primes physically, uh, still a terrific show, still a terrific match. And like we said in the end, like you mentioned, Seth Rollins basically costing CM Punk the match, allowing John Cena to put him in that STF and him forcing him to tap. Um,
I'm actually passed out.
Passed out. I'm sorry, passed out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, loss of consciousness.
Yeah.
And then of course we talked about what happened afterwards. John Cena turning heel. Let's go back to the beginning because now we really have the rest of the show, which compared to the end almost seemed insignificant. But I
Yeah.
mean, I do want to say this was one of the best Elimination Chamber pay-per-views I've seen in years, top to
Yeah.
bottom. This was a good show. And quite frankly, I was a little surprised because I wasn't exactly excited about the women's match, and it delivered. So
Yeah.
let's start there. Women's Elimination Chamber: Liv Morgan, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, and Bayley are six competitors. The match began with Liv and Naomi. Um, Fortunately, Naomi never got to wrestle because Jade Cargill returned. Looks like $1 million as always. Walks right into the chamber because they haven't closed the door yet.
Yeah.
And, obviously we've been led to believe that it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez who attacked her. But it turns out it was Naomi. Jade
Yeah.
Cargill goes to Naomi and beats the brakes off of her.
Yeah.
I mean, really beat the hell out of her.
Yeah. I was gonna say like that was probably one of the best like beat downs I've seen someone give. And kudos to Naomi for taking it because I
Yeah,
mean, Jay was slamming her into those chambers and slamming her into the fence.
yeah,
Yeah, it looked great. It looked vicious, and it
did.
was definitely something that I think Jade really needed, and she really looked good administering that beatdown.
She looked awesome. And listen, I mean, we're in the Netflix era now, and she hasn't wrestled in the Netflix era. She hasn't been present. So this is in some ways also a reintroduction to for her. Looked great, beat the hell out of Naomi. Naomi's out of the match. She's eliminated.
Yeah,
And there is no replacement. At first I thought maybe Cargill was going to replace her, but that's not the case.
no,
She was eliminated, and
yeah,
then from there, the action unfolds.
yeah.
This is a great match, Jordan. What did you think?
And I also want to, before we move to the actual match, I just want to say Bianca Belair, man, was acting her ass off.
Yeah,
I mean, she was, looked absolutely devastated watching Jade beat Naomi to a pulp. Um, so I just wanted to put that out there that she did a great job with that too. But the match itself, was good. Um, and there was a lot of good action. Obviously, all the women in this match are great wrestlers. Um, and I will say, man, like uh, Liv taking that shot from the hair from
Yeah,
Bianca's hair.
yeah,
I mean, God, that had to hurt. Like that shit leaves a mark anytime uh, somebody takes it. So yeah, she was a champ for that. But yeah, overall the match was really good, and at the end of it, Bianca Belair wins it, and she will go to WrestleMania, and she will face either Rhea Ripley or Io Sky, or maybe both of them, depending on how they decide to have that match unfold.
yep.
Um, but yeah, I think for me, the right winner. It's something that I know a lot of people have been kind of clamoring for: Bianca versus Rhea. Two big names, two powerful women, and somebody I think that Rhea could really have a good match with
Yeah.
because a lot of her opponents have been smaller. So I think for her to be able to match up with somebody like Bianca, I think it'd be a really good match. But yeah, overall, it was a really good way to open the show.
Yeah, I think especially after Bailey got eliminated, the action was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um, Roxanne Perez obviously has made multiple appearances on the main roster at this point, but this is really a coming out party for her. If the Royal Rumble wasn't already, she looked great in this match. She fit right in with all of those women, many of which who are multiple time champions, highly decorated. Um, yeah, this was great. I love some of the spots. The hair whip was great. I mean, that bruise turned into a laceration, it started bleeding.
yeah,
Just and it sounded horrific.
yeah,
I think Liv went in for the Oblivion, and then Roxanne kicked her and the roll through, and I mean, they were just some really incredible spots. I was really impressed by this match,
yeah,
not only by the booking, but just the action itself. I mean, this was like something you'd see. This was not like most matches are in the WWE for women's matches. This was really
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Really impressed me. Great way to start the show, like you said.
yeah.
I don't want to talk too long about the tag match because it was I mean, completely, unsurprising. This is what we expected. But Trishy and Tiffy time versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Um, I think there's something beautiful about just the live event business of wrestling that you have the hometown hero come in and she gets the hero's welcome and she goes out and has a great match for Trish Stratus. Obviously a Toronto native, but this is her 25th anniversary in the WWE. Um, Obviously her time in the WWE is finite. We don't know how many dates she has left wrestling. Despite her age, she looks great, wrestles great. I mean, she looked awesome in this match, but her and Tiffany Stratton, I'm sorry, kind of ran roughshod of Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. What'd you think about this match?
Um, it was good for what it was. It was, just a one-time throwaway. It wasn't to build anything. Obviously, Tiffany's going to defend her title against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And this, didn't do anything to further that. Not that it needs to.
Hmm.
I think it's, watching this match, watching the entrances, it's kind of like Tiffany Stratton just feels like she's getting more and more comfortable as being the champion, being one of the more popular women on the roster. And she was great in this match. Definitely a little bit of a scary moment when she kind of slipped and fell off the top rope.
Yeah.
Almost hurt her knee, almost banged her head on the mat. So, definitely needs to be careful of that. But other than that, yeah, it was great. Trish was good in this for, being a legend and really soaking up the atmosphere of being in Toronto
Yeah.
and wrestling again. So yeah, it was good for what it was.
And you have to think for Tiffany, who's very young. I mean, she's not 30 years old yet, to sit under the learning tree of Trish Stratus, who's one of I mean, say what you will about the era she wrestled in, one of the most decorated champions in not just women's wrestling history, but in WWE history. 7-time women's world champion. To sit under the learning tree with her and get to spend time with her over the last few weeks, I'm sure that was incredibly valuable and beneficial. Um, and this was fun. Like you said, I mean, she has a match already set in stone for WrestleMania. So this was really savvy booking from Triple H. Have her on the show, not do something that's really consequential.
Yeah,
Um, The last match we're going to talk about was the second to last match of the evening. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned lights out match. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, longtime friends, longtime enemies. These guys have such, I mean, you talk about chemistry in terms of rivalries, one of the best ever. These guys can, like a light switch, can be the best of allies. They can be enemies. They can be a tag team. They can be tag team champs. They can have great matches like this. Kevin Owens, I want to highlight here because at the Royal Rumble, him and Cody Rhodes had that ladder match, and it stole the show. And tonight, or last night at Elimination Chamber, his match with Sami Zayn stole the show. It was fantastic. I can't say enough good about this match. And I've seen a lot of garbage, unsanctioned lights out matches in both WWE, AEW, ECW. I've seen a lot of these kind of matches. And this was phenomenal. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the WWE just doesn't do this often. They just don't have many matches like this. And then you factor in their chemistry, their individual ability as wrestlers. It was great. What did you think about this, Jordan?
Oh yeah, I thought the match was great. I'm honestly like I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it because I'm kind of tired of the whole they're friends, they're enemies type thing because they've done it like I think this is the third or fourth time in WWE now they've done it.
Fourth, I
Um,
think.
yeah, like fourth where they've been friends and one's turned on the other and so the whole way they got here I'm kind of getting a bit tired of. But the match itself, anytime these like you said, anytime these two get together, it's gonna be a great match.
Hmm.
Because they just have such great chemistry. And yeah, I mean they beat the hell out of each other in this match pretty much. I mean it was a back and forth, just trying to hurt the other one, and crazy spots that flip off the top rope that
Yeah.
Sammy did, getting pushed by Kevin, put through the tables, crazy. Even brought out the barbed wire chair, which you don't see WWE use barbed wire ever anymore, really.
Yeah.
Um, so bringing that out was crazy, and yeah, it was really good. Um, and it, you know, for Kevin Owens, I think he needed a win like this because he's
Yeah.
had so many losses. For him to get this win, and then for him to look like he's gonna pile drive Sammy on the concrete, and then music hits, and Randy Orton, the Viper, comes out. Obviously, Kevin Owens, you know, put Randy on the shelf,
Yeah.
and so obviously Randy coming back to get his revenge. Overall, great match, great return, and just added to a really good show.
Yeah, it's like they said, let's do a Ring of Honor or PWG match in the WWE. And I think of yeah, I know Ric Flair said one time that you put me in a cage, I'm gonna get color. If I'm not, what's the point of putting me in the cage? And I will say, this while they did bring out the barbed wire, and that's a big step in the right direction for the WWE, I think maybe blood would have been good in this match in this setting. But
Yeah,
that's a small complaint
yeah,
that really pales in comparison to the general consensus, which is that this match was fantastic.
yeah,
And it was great.
yeah,
And like you said, I totally agree with you. I'm not really excited about the idea, or I wasn't excited about the idea of these two running this feud back, especially if it meant at WrestleMania, because they've already done that before.
yeah,
But I knew that just the quality itself would be fantastic because these two are phenomenal performers who excel when they're in the ring together, whether that's against each other or with each other. So I enjoyed this a lot. And then, like you said, Randy Orton returns, looking for revenge from that package pile driver that put him on the shelf. Got the RKO, tried to deliver the punt kick and didn't get to. It was cool seeing Petey Williams out there in Toronto, wasn't it? As one of
Oh
the
yeah,
agents. Yeah, very
yeah. I
cool.
was I was looking on my I swear I recognized him. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Petey Williams.
Petey Williams, baby. I was like,
Boy,
oh,
yeah,
slap a Canadian destroyer on a KO, stop this match. But anyways,
yeah,
yeah, this was great. And let's get into it. Like we said, WrestleMania is a month away, and I think largely, I think both of us shared the same sentiment that this was a pretty lackluster road to WrestleMania so far. The show has not the shows have not generated a lot of excitement towards that end. And I think this helped a lot. And let's just get right into it. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Um, 1 to 5, what's your level of excitement for that match at WrestleMania?
Uh, I don't know, probably maybe like a like 3.5 maybe. I mean, I think it'll be a good match between the two, but I guess maybe we'll see how the story between the two develops. Um, but the match itself should be really good.
For me, this is like a 4.5. Let's real quick about Randy Orton, okay? This guy looks as big as The Rock right now. He is
Yeah,
huge. And I know we say that, but we've said that since he returned at Survivor Series in 2023, but he is enormously big. It's insane how much bigger he's gotten. He looks great. The RKO's look crisp as always. I mean, he doesn't look like he's aged at all. I'm excited for this match, and I know that these two are going to deliver. And maybe that speaks to my belief in Kevin Owens. Obviously, I think you have to trust Randy Orton, but my belief in Kevin Owens is pretty high. I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think this is going to be great. Let's go. Listen, this might not culminate in WrestleMania, although I think it has to at this point. But Jade Cargill and Naomi, what's your level of excitement for this match at WrestleMania?
yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about it because I've seen Jade wrestle and it's not been good really. Like
Wait. Just stop the sentence there. It's hard to get excited because I've seen Jade wrestle. Period.
yeah, yeah, like that's and again, I'm not. She's been gone for a while. She's reportedly been at the performance center, so for all I know, she might have improved a lot. I don't
Hmm.
know, but it kind of feels like we're waiting for her to kind of improve as a wrestler, and it doesn't seem like it's happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of why they put her in a tag team with Bianca for all that time because I don't think they really trust her to do things on her own. So I think the issues between the two would make for a compelling match. But as far as the actual match quality, I don't know how that's going to be. And also, too, it might not even be against Naomi because, for all we know, they might say that she wasn't the one. She got set up or something. You never know. I mean, they have so many different things they try to do. I don't know.
Wouldn't Jade
It's
Cargill know who attacked her though?
I have no idea. Like you would think so, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like how WWE is. They're always trying to think 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So that's you never know. But yeah, I mean, right now that's how it seems like it's going to be. I think Naomi as a heel would be a good idea because she was good when she did it before.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it'd be good. But as far as like the match quality, I'm not really looking forward to that part of it. But
Yeah. Um, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins. Damian Priest rolling up Drew Mac. Wait. I'm sorry. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre.
yeah,
Sorry. Damian Priest rolled up Drew McIntyre in the chamber match.
yeah,
These guys have been feuding sporadically over the last few weeks. It looks like these two are heading for a match at WrestleMania. Obviously, WrestleMania 40, Drew McIntyre won the World Heavyweight Championship, and then Priest cashed in his Money in the Bank contract.
yeah,
So there's precedent here. There's obviously a great deal of history. And I think the WrestleMania has always been billed as the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. And I think in a lot of respects, there's a certain point WrestleMania has to kind of exist in its own vacuum. As the stuff that happened at last year's Mania plays into it because maybe people haven't been watching wrestling since then, right?
yeah,
I think it's good. Like if you haven't been watching wrestling for the last year and you just see these guys back together again, well, it makes sense because last year he
yeah,
cost him the title.
yeah. Yeah, I don't like this match. I'm not interested. I'm not excited about it. Like I just said the uh in the chamber match before, I'm not a big Damian Priest fan. I wish Drew was wrestling somebody else, something that was a little more important
Uh-huh.
because of all of the hard work that Drew put in this year in his feud with Punk, and really being one of the bigger heels in the company. I mean, he's done a lot of great stuff, and I feel bad that he's going to just get a throwaway match at WrestleMania against Damian Priest. Even if there is history between the two, does anybody really care at this point? I mean, Priest had his run. It wasn't that great.
Hmm.
He lost the title to Gunther, and that's been it. He's done nothing else of note since then. So, for this to be Drew's WrestleMania match, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But I think I guess it kind of speaks to how much talent the WWE has right now, that they're trying to find ways to have people on the show to have their matches. So, yeah, I think uh, I'm glad that Drew will be getting his match at WrestleMania, but I wish it were against somebody else.
Yeah, neither of us are big fans of the Archer of Infamy. Um, and that's all I have to say about that. CM Punk and Seth Rollins. That last match I had was a portmanteau of that. CM Punk, Seth Rollins. These guys have been feuding now for months. They have tried to convince us that they legitimately hate each other. And they had a great match at the debut of Raw's Netflix of the Raw on Netflix debut. They had a great match together. Obviously they've linked up at the Royal Rumble, now at the Elimination Chamber, had a few interactions. One to five. How excited are you for this match?
Uh, 1 to 5, probably four, 4.5, maybe 5. Because obviously it's Punk and Seth Rollins. Both guys are really, really good. They had their match before in the main event of Raw on Netflix, and it was a great match. I think it was a little bit limited because of the venue that it was on. I think at a WrestleMania it will be given a lot more time and a lot more effort for them to really go all out.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a really, really good match, and really will be able to build on just the animosity that these guys have uh, between each other.
Do you think Roman Reigns is inserted in this in some way, shape, or form?
Uh, unless he's not going to be at WrestleMania at all, I don't see any other way for him to be in the show unless they do, because there's nothing else that he could really be put into. I mean, obviously they kind of teased that this might be a triple threat after the Rumble when they all got eliminated and Seth stomped Roman. Uh, so common sense would kind of dictate that yeah, they would put Roman in this and have it be a triple threat between the guys, which um, before when it first was initially kind of teased, I wasn't thrilled about it, but thinking on it now, I think it would be really cool to have a triple threat between these guys, um, because of all the history between the three of them. So yeah, I think that will probably be the end result.
For the Women's World Championship match, I'm going to give you three different possibilities here. And now I want you to tell me which one you're the most excited for.
Okay.
Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, or Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. Which of those three possibilities are you the most excited to see?
Um, no disrespect to Io because I love Io a lot. I think Rhea and Bianca, I would love to see those two just one on one because I don't like the idea of having multiple multi-man, multi-women matches on the same show. Um, I think that Rhea and Bianca should be given its own time, its own grace on a big stage like WrestleMania. So uh, that's the one I would like to see the most. But I think they'll probably end up going with the three-way because I don't think they want to leave Io off the show.
Hmm.
And I understand that. I don't want her to be left off either. And if that's what we get as a triple threat, then that's what we get. It'll be a great match nonetheless. Um, but yeah, I think if I had my pick, it would be just Rhea versus Bianca one on one.
I'd like to see Io Sky in the match. I think those three are sort of the face of the next generation. or maybe the face of this generation. That's probably more accurate. I think those are the three most important women of this generation that's leading the way right now. And I'd like to see them all face off at WrestleMania. Although, how many multi-man, multi-women matches can you have on one WrestleMania? I don't know. But anyways, last but certainly not least, the main event of main events at this show, I'm certain, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. 1 to 5, how excited are you for this match?
Uh, I mean, I'd gotta say a 5 now with
Yeah.
the heel turn added into it. Uh, I guess it depends on how the buildup is. If the buildup's good and it's done right, then I think this will be definitely be a 5. Um, hopefully they, because one of my big questions is, well, John hasn't really been there.
Hmm.
Maybe that was by design.
Yeah.
Um, maybe not. If he's there and he's a part of the buildup and The Rock's there, part of the buildup, then I'll be excited. If it's just Cody trying to build this up on his own
Hmm.
and The Rock and Cena not really showing up that often, then it's gonna wane my interest in this match. But uh, yeah, I think it might not be the greatest match as far as the wrestling goes, but
Hmm.
the star power and the potential story behind it, I think will make it really, really good. A la last year with Cody and Roman.
I think of WrestleMania 18, and I think when we talked about The Rock versus Cody, we had the same conversation that there are shades of WrestleMania 18 here. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, the current face of the company versus the previous generation's face of the company. In that case, it was multiple generations ago, but in the same case here, it would be multiple generations ago. Um, Cody versus Cena. Even though Cena might be limited, I think just by virtue of psychology and the story, I think this match could still be really great. And like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. If Cena and The Rock are both available, they're there every week, they can tell a great story in the next month leading up to WrestleMania. I still worry because it is only a handful of weeks and there's only so many programs that you can feature these guys on. So maybe it'll still be a little rushed.
Yeah,
But I think that heel turn, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. I mean, he
yeah,
goes in the press conference afterwards, the mic drop doesn't say anything. I
yeah,
think he's obviously saving it for Raw tomorrow night.
yeah,
Um, I'm excited. I'd give this a 5.
yeah,
I'm super excited to see this. And I
yeah.
think no, I'm sorry.
So I was just gonna say, and also I know when you and I talked about the potential for this match a few episodes ago, we were both a little worried because it's like, how does Cody compete with a last tour babyface John Cena? Well, now he doesn't have to,
Yeah.
because and in wrestling today, Cena's still going to probably be cheered quite a bit. Obviously, there's a lot of people who want to see him win his 17th world championship. So he still have that, but I think it helps Cody now that Cena's kind of gone the heel turn route. I'm sure he can get the crowd to boo him because Cena's one of the better talkers in the company in wrestling history. Uh, so I think it helps that aspect of it as well.
It's interesting. AEW's first pay-per-view was in Las Vegas, and Cody Rhodes had that fantastic match with Dustin Rhodes. And I think Cody Rhodes is kind of a fan favorite in Las Vegas. I think this is a great city for him to go and defend his title at a WrestleMania. But like I said, I want to go back to that WrestleMania 18 parallel that they're in the Skydome and Hulk Hogan is Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's the heel in that match and he starts getting cheered. The point where The Rock has to work heel. That's what makes that match so special is that both of those guys could kind of change what they were doing on the fly and the psychology was immaculate. I mean, you talk about wrestling psychology, you kind of point to that match as a prime example.
Yeah.
Do you think throughout the course of that match, Cody Rhodes has to start working heel? Do you think they're going to reverse and they're going to cheer Cena?
Uh, Not to the level where I think they would have to change stuff on the fly,
Hmm.
like The Rock and Hogan. I think that I can't imagine you're going to have that big of a dynamic shift between the two. I think they'll still. I think it's just going to be two huge big names in wrestling going against each other, and you'll just kind of work it that way. Now maybe they'll kind of play it by ear a little bit and see how the crowd is, but I don't think it's going to be something like that.
I'm excited. I'm very excited for this match. I think these two are
Yep.
they're gonna burn the house down. Jordan, any last thoughts on the Elimination Chamber before we move on?
Um, no, I think it was one of my favorite PLEs from start to finish of the last few PLEs we've had.
Mm,
I know that WWE has gotten some flack for their PLEs kind of being a little bit lackluster.
yeah.
Obviously, they don't have the match quantity like AEW does.
Hmm.
Um, but this was a great show, and it really furthered uh, some stories that are going to lead into WrestleMania. And obviously, you had one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history happen. The chamber matches were good. The tag match and the unsanctioned match were all good. So from start to finish, I think this was one of the better WWE PLEs they've had.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best one since SummerSlam. Um, Start to finish, like you said, this was a great show. The women's match, and not only that, but we're bookending it with big angles. Jade Cargill returning, obviously to a far lesser degree than how it
Yeah,
ended, which was Cena turning heel, but
yeah,
bookending it with two big angles, women's match, men's match. A lot of great, the two matches in between were pretty good. I got to say the gaps in between some of these matches were like a half hour between like setting the chamber and the entrances. I mean, it's like, good Lord, like how much
yeah,
filler advertisements in a PLE is. I understand you're not paying $50 for it like you would a regular pay-per-view, but
yeah.
anyways.
Mm,
But you can't deny the WWE's value, the production value is insane. It's off the charts. The show looked great. The unsanctioned lights out match, especially. I mean, they
yeah,
turned the lights off, obviously, had the
yeah.
spotlights on it. It looked great.
Mm,
Yeah, this was fun.
yeah,
This was a fun pay-per-view. And it made me infinitely more excited for WrestleMania than I was otherwise, which was really the goal here, right?
yeah.
Next week, speaking of AEW, we're going to probably be previewing Revolution, uh, which is their next pay-per-view. It's a huge card. And I gotta be honest, I don't know the last time I was this excited for a pay-per-view as I am for this Revolution. I mean, it's stacked top to bottom. Like we're talking like 8 to 9 great, potentially great matches on this show. So we're gonna be diving into that next week. Um, Before we go, Jordan, SI released a interesting list earlier this week, the top 10 women's wrestlers in WWE history. I think in late September or early October last year, they released the top 20 WWE superstars of all time, men or women's. We reviewed that list, talked about it, made a whole episode about it.
Mm,
Um, because Triple H is not one of the 50 best wrestlers of all time. But this is just WWE women's. And here's the list. Number 10, Alundra Blaze, otherwise known as Medusa. 9, Bianca Belair. 8, Asuka. 7, China. 6, Bailey. 5, Sasha Banks, currently known as Mercedes Moné. 4, Lita. 3 was Trish Stratus. 2, Charlotte Flair. And number 1, Becky Lynch. I'm not surprised that Becky Lynch is number 1 because when they made the list of the superstars, Becky was the only women's wrestler on the list. She was number 20 on that list. Charlotte number 2 over Trish Stratus. Is that surprising? Should that be surprising?
no, no, not at all. Obviously, when Charlotte, during Charlotte's time in WWE, the women's wrestling has been much more of an emphasis
Hmm.
than when Trish was wrestling. Um, so not to knock Trish Stratus at all, but I think Charlotte, has been the best women's wrestler in the WWE on in the world for a long, long time now.
Hmm.
She really has built upon her own name, not just her father's. Um, you know, she's obviously a multi-time champion. She's as far as in-ring work, she's one of the best in the company. So it's not surprising to me at all that she's ahead of Trish Stratus.
I have to admit, Lita at 4 and Sasha Banks at 5 seem very high to me. Sasha Banks was kind of shocking because she's been gone for a number of years now. But Lita at 4, I mean, I understand she was sort of a luminary in women's wrestling for the WWE specifically.
Yeah.
But that's pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you look at her resume and you compare it to somebody like Bailey
Hmm.
or Asuka or somebody like that, and yeah, you're kind of like, man, it's or even Bianca Belair,
Yeah.
and you're like, really she's ahead of them, but it's hard because she was one of the two most popular women in the company during a time when women's wrestling wasn't a big emphasis. But she kind of had her own unique style that a lot of women use now.
Hmm.
She's obviously been somebody that a lot of the women's wrestlers of today have said were their inspiration, their role
Yeah.
model. Um, so it's hard when you compare Trish and Lita to the more modern women because of obviously the eras that they were in when women's wrestling was not as emphasized. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I think Lita on her own was really good. She obviously had that high flying skill set. But yeah, it's when you compare her up to against like Bailey and Bianca Belair and Asuka, people like that, it's hard to, as far as in-ring ability, to say that she was better than them.
Medusa at 10, I'm pleasantly surprised about.
Yeah,
I think she's one of the most underrated American women's wrestlers of all time, just
yeah,
because she wrestled at a time when women's wrestling wasn't, like you said, emphasized. Certainly, I mean, even to a lesser degree than it was when Trish and Lita wrestled, and she was still great in the ring. But I'm surprised she made the list. Asuka at 8, I mean, I feel like she needs to be higher. Um, and China at 7 is China's so hard to rank because she wrestled men too, which almost kind of puts her on a pedestal. I think that it's hard to compare her to other great women's wrestlers in the WWE.
yeah.
Um, anything else stick out to you about this list?
Um, n- no, I mean, like you said, China, obviously it's hard for her because she was so unique
Yeah,
in her presentation and the matches she had. I mean, hell, she was the Intercontinental Champion. So,
exactly.
that's something that, is a little bit hard to rank her in. Yeah, I think it's all of these women are great wrestlers. I think Banks over Bailey, a little bit surprising
Yeah, very. Yeah.
because obviously Bailey's done so much, um, things that even Mercedes didn't do when she was in WWE.
Hmm.
And obviously, Bailey's still in WWE. She was most recently the women's champion, so a little bit hard for me to believe that she's below Sasha Banks. Not to say Sasha didn't have a great run
Yeah.
in WWE, and she's obviously doing good in AEW now. So that's the only thing I would question is having her below Sasha Banks.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting list. It's interesting to see a site like SI kind of opine on these sort of things. But um, I think that's going to do it for our episode this week. We want to thank you all for watching. Please like the video. Leave a comment about the Elimination Chamber, what you thought about John Cena's heel turn, um, about the KO and Sami Zayn match, the women's chamber match. Like I said, we really, I think both of us really loved the show a lot. Pleasantly surprised by how great it was. Um, and please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see you back next week, where we will be previewing AEW Revolution and all the fantastic matches on that show. Without further ado, talk to him, Jordan.
Top dogs out.